Hey everybody, it's MK. So it is a quiet Sunday afternoon, and I have this quilt that you're looking at to work on. This is from my dear friend Linda. The piecing pattern is called Deb's Cactus Bloom. That's from Deb Heatherly of Deb's Cats and Quilts, and it uses the Creative Grids half rectangle trim tool. Linda sends me lots of her quilts where she wants just a little something special. Her request on this quilt was keep the center simple with thread perhaps matching the background, and then do a little bit of custom border work. That is like music to my ears. I can do that very quickly, but I thought what I would do today is bring you along a little bit for the ride and watch me how I think through the entire process. So, before we move on and start even thinking about designs, let me show you what Linda's backing looks like. It's a beautiful print, but it is a little bit on the busy side. So I'm taking that into consideration along with the thread color request that Linda made. Based on those parameters, this is the thread that I have chosen. Now, I actually don't use variegated all that often. If truth be told, I'm not a huge fan of variegated thread. But this variegated, it may look dark to you as you're looking at the spool, but it really is not. When I pull it onto the quilt, it really just is a nice balance of the background color and a few of those colors in the variegated thread really pull from the fabric in Linda's quilt. Let's take a look at all three of these together. And let me talk you through a couple of other things that I am thinking. And then, for the most part, I'm not going to talk. I'm just going to let my software screen capture what I'm doing. And at the very end, when I have my layout, we'll come back and we'll talk through the entire layout and any considerations that I am going to have to think about for the stitch out based on what I have chosen. All right, so the first thing is, let me just explain that this is going to be what I call an inside fit edge to edge with simple borders technique quilt. Of course, there's a course on the university site for that. So if you want really a little bit more in-depth instruction than what I'm planning today, you can check out that course. Let me just give you a little insight into what my brain is thinking. The first thing is I am planning to use that variegated thread on the inside area of my quilt. So firstly, when I go to select my pattern, I'm going to select something that is an inside fit digital design. And of course, I have that all keyworded in my MKDI. Now, the other thing that I'm thinking about with regard to an inside fit that I don't normally think about is the fact that I'm using a variegated thread. So I really don't want a lot of overstitching. I don't want a very intricate design. I want something rather simple, but also that plays into the nature of perhaps the print there in the outer border. I'm going to be using that buttery, creamy yellow on the backing, so it's mostly going to blend in. Now, I really kind of wanted to use a little bit darker thread on the top and on the bottom. But I have to listen to my client, right? That's what she wanted, something that was more blending. So I think this variegated is going to be a good choice, but I have to pick my designs carefully. Now, the other thing that I'm noticing is that wide inner border. That's really where I'm going to start with my efforts. That is where I'm going to make my determinations initially about what I'm going to stitch. And the reason why I'm going to start with the border rather than the inside fit edge to edge is because the border is a fixed size, meaning that I need to pick a design that's going to fit well in there. Again, it is going to be variegated thread in the border as well. So it has to be something that's going to play well with this quilt, that's not going to be very intricate, dense, or with overstitching, and play into the feel of the quilt. But it's going to be a very specific size. When I pick that border design, that is going to lead me into what I'm going to use in the center and how dense that center design is going to be. Now, if you know me at any level, you probably are thinking she's probably going to use a piano key out in that outer border. And you know what? I'm pretty sure that that's what I'm going to do. It's a very printed fabric. So we'll have printed fabric top and bottom in that outer border. Anything I put in there, not really going to show that much. We just need it to be quilted down. And again, if I do pick a piano key, which I'm pretty sure that I will, I want it to match density wise with the other designs that I've picked. So that outer border, probably going to be the last thing that I lay out. Now, the only other thing that I have to think about is the cornerstone unit that is in that wide outer border. I actually have this quilt hanging over my frame behind me, and I'm just going to start there. I'm going to evaluate that cornerstone a little bit, how I think it's going to play in with a design that I want to use in my border, that wide border, and that's where I'm going to start, and that's how it begins. You know, you guys, what I'm showing you right now is really how I quilt. It's what I call layout and rendering. It's how I plan my semi-custom or custom quilts. It always begins the same way. I got to get the quilt up. I got to get a picture. I got to lay it over the frame. I got to let my brain think about it for a while. I got to choose thread color, and many times there are many factors that have played into what thread color I'm going to use. And then the fun begins. All right, so first up, give me a few minutes to just sit and ponder that cornerstone a little longer. And then we're going to hop straight on into MKDI. Now, for those of you watching this on one of the social media platforms, if what I have just said to you and what you're going to watch me do with picking patterns interests you, you are going to be able to watch only a portion of this class. My content all surrounding Pro Stitcher Designer, and what I call layout and rendering is all housed on my personal training site called MK Quilts University. It is a membership platform. I'm dropping the link here and the website address so that you can go and check it out. There is a 1-week free trial on MK Quilts University memberships. So I'm going to hope that what you're seeing here piques your interest and that you will consider becoming a member on MK Quilts University. There is a $5 off coupon that you can use for your first 6 months. So please go and check it out. All right, I am going to sit and ponder a little bit further, and then I'm mostly not going to talk. I'm mostly just going to cue the music, and I'm going to let you watch how I really do layout and rendering. Just a little bit of explanation of how I'm using MKDI. I am just starting by looking for a border. I chose a keyword from my favorite designer, Christy Dillon. I knew I could find something of hers that was going to fit. All I'm doing here is searching through the folder. When I find something that I think is going to work, I'm right clicking on the design and I'm saying copy file to, and I created a folder. You can do that right from MKDI, and I'm dropping several choices of this border design into my folder. Right here, what happened is even though I was looking for the border, I came across a piano key design from Christy that I thought might work. So I'm just dropping that into the folder and carrying on. Now, I'm not going to record this whole entire process. You guys, basically, all I'm doing here over and over again is looking through my designs using a different combination of keywords to find things that I think will work, and I'm going to drop them in the folder. I will do all the layout and rendering steps later with items that I've already populated into the folder. And here I am doing the exact same process, just using a different keyword. Any of my inside edge to edge that work well for inside edge to edge, I have keyworded inside. So I don't have to look through all of my other edge to edge designs. I just want to look through the ones that work well for inside fit. And basically, what that means in a nutshell is that I'm not going to have to do a lot of cropping along my seam lines. The other thing, as mentioned earlier, is I'm looking for designs that read well with the fabric and that aren't too busy and don't have a lot or any overstitching. I came upon that inside edge to edge that you just saw there and I paused on it. I'm not sure about that one because it does have some overstitching. So I've moved on. I'm looking at other things. And here you see me now going back and looking through another keyword, piano. All right, so I'm doing all of this work, just picking and choosing designs that I think will work, and I'm dropping them in the folder. All right, here we go. Once that choosing process is over, out comes my simulator. And the very first thing I am just creating is my line drawing. Of course, you guys, I have a whole entire course on line drawings. They are the shell that matches the dimensions of the quilt, and they make it very easy for me later to take all of those designs that I have chosen, use an area around all the different areas of the quilt to drop my designs in. Test them out, check them for density. How do they work together? All of those things. That's the whole point of simulation. If I start with a line drawing, it just makes it simpler. And then later, I populate the line drawing. And guys, I have purposefully grayed out the right-hand side of the screen to protect the integrity of the pattern. But all I was doing there on my line drawing was resizing based on the dimensions, naming those parts of the line drawing, and then I saved the line drawing as a workspace.